Hi, I'm Evelyn Harper, a 73-year-old widow living in Denver, Colorado. I've spent most of my life building my dreams from the ground up. Long before I became a mother, or even thought about leaving a mark on the world, I was already fascinated by technology, investments, and problem solving. Life threw me into challenges early on, losing my husband at a time when I had young children and a career that demanded attention. But I never let the weight of circumstances break me. People often underestimated me. Neighbors, distant relatives, even casual acquaintances assumed that at my age, I was frail, dependent, and incapable of handling any significant responsibility. Many whispered that I couldn't possibly manage my fortune wisely or make meaningful decisions. But I knew differently. Every day, I carefully tracked my investments, properties, and the ventures I had nurtured over decades. The total value of everything I owned had quietly grown into a $250 million fortune, a sum that could secure the future of my children and leave a lasting legacy if handled wisely. I had two children, Marcus, my 37-year-old son, and Sophia, my 35-year-old daughter. Both were thriving in their own worlds, Marcus in Seattle as a software engineer, and Sophia in Boston as an interior designer. Even with their successes, I knew life could be unpredictable. Circumstances could change in an instant, and I wanted to make sure that no matter what happened, they would be safe, secure, and free from financial uncertainty. That desire fueled every decision I made, every late night I spent reviewing statements, and every careful legal consultation I arranged. While people saw an elderly widow, I was quietly orchestrating one of the most significant moves of my life. I didn't need recognition, applause, or anyone's approval. My satisfaction came from knowing that the future of my children was in my hands and that I could protect it no matter what. Little did anyone know, I was preparing to take action that would shock even those closest to me. Looking back, I realize how much of my life had been a balancing act. Running tech startups, making smart investment decisions, and mentoring young entrepreneurs consumed much of my time and energy. But even amidst the chaos of work, I always prioritized my children. Every milestone in their lives, first steps, school achievements, college admissions, was met with careful planning and support, sometimes at the cost of my own comfort. I sacrificed vacations, late nights, and even personal indulgences to ensure that Marcus and Sophia had a secure foundation. The world outside often judged me superficially. "She's too old to understand these deals," some would whisper at gatherings or networking events. "Her decisions are bound to fail." Those words stung at first, but they also fueled a quiet determination within me. I wanted to prove, not to the world, but to myself, that age and circumstance could never dictate capability. I remember sitting in my home office late one evening, surrounded by stacks of papers, investment reports, and property evaluations. Denver's skyline glimmered outside my window, and the city hummed quietly below. I allowed myself a rare moment of reflection. My journey had been filled with risks, failures, triumphs, and lessons. But one thing remained constant: my unwavering focus on ensuring the safety and success of my children. It wasn't just about money. It was about control, foresight, and leaving a legacy that mattered. I wanted Marcus and Sophia to inherit not just wealth, but the assurance that every obstacle I had overcome had been for them. I had become the quiet architect of their security, carefully designing the steps that would lead to a future untouched by greed, mistakes, or outside interference. Marcus had always been the analytical one. Even as a child, he would take apart gadgets and try to understand how every piece fit together. Watching him grow into a skilled software engineer in Seattle filled me with pride. His work ethic, intelligence, and quiet confidence reminded me so much of the qualities I had nurtured in myself over the years. Sophia, on the other hand, had an artistic soul. She saw beauty in everything, from the way sunlight fell across a room to the intricate patterns in fabrics. Today, she thrived as an interior designer in Boston, creating spaces that brought warmth and elegance to countless homes. Her creativity, resilience, and determination made me proud beyond words. Even with their accomplishments, I remained concerned about their future. Life, as I knew too well, could be unpredictable. Companies could fail, markets could crash, and health or personal crises could strike at any time. I wanted to shield Marcus and Sophia from such uncertainty as much as possible. That was why securing my fortune wasn't just about numbers. It was about foresight, control, and love. I often imagined what their reactions would be if they knew the extent of my planning. Would they understand my quiet diligence? Or would they be shocked that their mother had taken actions in complete secrecy, silently shaping their destiny? These thoughts both worried and motivated me. Throughout this journey, one constant was the whispers of doubt. Friends, distant relatives, and casual acquaintances seemed to delight in underestimating me. "She's too old to manage this," they would comment. "Her decisions are bound to fail." The world saw Evelyn Harper, a 73-year-old widow, and assumed weakness, dependency, or confusion. But they didn't see the countless hours I spent strategizing. They didn't witness the meticulous way I analyzed investments, negotiated with lawyers, and created structures to protect my assets. They judged me by appearance and age, not by capability or vision. Every comment, every doubt cast by others only strengthened my resolve to act decisively and quietly. I realized that if I wanted to truly protect Marcus and Sophia, I couldn't rely on approval or recognition from others. This wasn't about proving them wrong, it was about securing what mattered most. And so, I embraced silence, patience, and careful planning, preparing for a move that would leave everyone, even my closest relatives, astonished. Late one evening, I sat alone at my desk, legal documents spread across the surface, a soft lamp illuminating the papers. I had made a decision. I would transfer my entire fortune, $250 million worth of properties, stocks, and investments, into a secure trust and a philanthropic foundation I controlled. The goal was clear: protect my children's inheritance, prevent interference from outsiders, and create a meaningful legacy that extended beyond money. Each decision had to be flawless. There was no room for mistakes, no margin for error. I consulted trusted lawyers, reviewed every clause, and ensured that the foundation and trust were structured to fully achieve my goals. That night, the quiet hum of Denver outside felt like my ally. I was determined, calm, and fully aware of the stakes. While others slept, unaware of the plans unfolding, I silently prepared to secure the future of Marcus and Sophia, ensuring that no one, not even the world's doubts, could ever compromise it. The night had stretched into early morning hours, and Denver's skyline glimmered softly outside my office window. I, Evelyn Harper, carefully reviewed every document, every legal clause. The decision had been made. All my properties, investments, and business holdings, totaling $250 million, would be placed into a secure trust under my complete control. But I didn't stop there. I wanted this fortune to also serve a greater purpose. Quietly, I established a philanthropic foundation in my name. The foundation wasn't just a way to shield assets. It was my way of creating a meaningful legacy. Scholarships for young students, grants for aspiring entrepreneurs, and community programs in Denver would be funded through this foundation. Every detail was meticulously planned: trustees, legal safeguards, and contingencies for every possible scenario. I wanted to ensure that even if unforeseen events occurred, Marcus and Sophia's inheritance would be untouched, and the foundation would continue to benefit others. As I signed the final papers, a sense of calm and satisfaction washed over me. I had quietly taken control of the future, leaving no room for interference. The fortune that had taken decades to build was now fully protected, and my children would never have to worry about it. This was not an act of secrecy for deception, but one of foresight and love. While the world assumed I was weak and frail, I had acted with decisiveness and clarity that only years of experience could provide. The night of execution was tense but exhilarating. I worked alone, double-checking each transfer, each account, and each legal protocol. My hands moved swiftly over the documents, my mind fully focused on the task. Every signature, every notarized clause was deliberate. One wrong step could compromise the entire plan. As I completed the final transfer, I leaned back in my chair and took a deep breath. The quiet hum of the city below seemed to acknowledge the weight of my actions. I thought about Marcus in Seattle, busy debugging code in his apartment, and Sophia in Boston, sketching designs in her studio. They had no idea their future had already been secured by their mother's unseen efforts. In that moment, I realized the true power of quiet action. It isn't about recognition, applause, or approval. It's about protection, foresight, and love. I had turned the whispers of doubt into motivation, transforming assumptions of weakness into evidence of strength. While others slept unaware, I had changed the course of my children's lives. The next morning, I called Marcus and Sophia. Their reactions were priceless. Marcus, usually calm and analytical, could barely form words. "Mom, you did all this by yourself?" he finally managed to say. Sophia's eyes welled with tears as she whispered, "I can't believe it, Mom." I had no idea. I smiled softly and told them, "Everything is secure. Your future is protected, and the foundation will continue the work of supporting others." They were silent for a moment, absorbing the reality of my actions. The shock on their faces was mixed with gratitude and disbelief. It was a moment I had imagined countless times, but witnessing it in real life was far more profound than I had anticipated. It was then that I realized something essential. Sometimes the love that protects is not loud or visible. It works quietly, diligently, and with foresight. Marcus and Sophia understood that day that their mother's strength was not measured in appearances or words, but in decisive, strategic actions taken when it mattered most. As word of my actions spread among distant relatives, I anticipated confrontation. Sure enough, later that day, a few of them arrived at my home, voices raised, questioning why I had not informed anyone about the trust or foundation. "How could you hide this from us?" one demanded, frustration evident in her tone. I met their gaze calmly, without a hint of defensiveness. "I did this for the children," I replied firmly. "Nothing else matters. Their security and future were my priority, and this decision ensures that nothing can compromise them." The room fell silent. I could see the realization slowly dawn on them. My actions were not selfish or secretive for deceitful reasons. They were deliberate, protective, and thoughtful. Some seemed to accept it reluctantly, while others couldn't hide their astonishment. But in that moment, I felt a quiet victory. I had acted not for recognition or approval, but out of love and foresight. Later that evening, I sat with Marcus and Sophia in my living room. Marcus, still processing, asked, "Mom, why didn't you tell us? Why keep it all secret?" I took their hands in mine and said softly, "Sometimes strength is quiet. Sometimes protecting those you love requires decisions made in silence, away from doubt, fear, or interference. You may never understand all the reasons, but know this: every action I took was for your safety and future." Sophia nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Mom, you're stronger than anyone ever gave you credit for," she whispered. I hugged them both, feeling an immense sense of peace. My children now understood that love, foresight, and courage are not always loud. Sometimes the most profound acts of protection happen quietly, unseen by the world. That night, I reflected on the importance of planning, patience, and decisive action. I had ensured that no one, not even the doubters, could compromise what mattered most. The fortune, the legacy, and my children's future were safe, all because I had believed in my own strength and acted quietly but decisively. In the weeks following the trust and foundation setup, I began to see the first tangible results of my quiet planning. The Evelyn Harper Foundation, as I named it, started funding scholarships for underprivileged students in Denver and grants for young entrepreneurs. Each time I received an update, I felt a mixture of pride and relief. I wasn't just protecting my children's inheritance. I was creating a positive ripple in the community, touching lives that might never have imagined such opportunities. Marcus and Sophia began asking questions about the Foundation's initiatives. Marcus, analytical as ever, inquired about financial structures and sustainability, while Sophia focused on the aesthetic and community impact. Watching them take interest in my work filled me with a profound sense of accomplishment. My quiet actions, executed in the shadows, had begun to generate visible, meaningful change. It was a strange yet comforting feeling. The same people who had doubted me, assumed I was weak, or dismissed my abilities, now saw the results of careful planning. Not that I did it for validation. Every move had been deliberate and for my children, but witnessing the early impact reinforced that foresight and quiet action were powerful tools. Over time, Marcus and Sophia began internalizing the lessons I had subtly taught them through my actions. They saw that strength is not always about confrontation or loud declarations. It often lies in foresight, patience, and measured decision-making. They joined the foundation actively, wanting to continue the work I had begun. One evening, we sat together discussing future initiatives for the foundation. Marcus suggested tech scholarships inspired by his field, while Sophia proposed design mentorship programs. I listened, nodding, realizing that my children were not only secure financially, but also had absorbed the principle that thoughtful, quiet action can create lasting impact. It was deeply satisfying to see them understand that legacy is not only measured in wealth, but also in the positive influence you leave behind. I had worked quietly for decades, ensuring their safety and growth, and now they were ready to step into the world carrying the same values. As news of the foundation spread, perceptions of me began to shift. Those who once whispered doubts about my age and capability now approached me with respect. I was no longer just the old widow, or frail, in their eyes. I was Evelyn Harper, a woman who had quietly and decisively shaped the future of her family and community. Even the relatives who had confronted me earlier began to understand the purpose behind my actions. Some still struggled with jealousy or disbelief, but I no longer concerned myself with that. I had acted with clarity, foresight, and love, and that was enough. The silent strength I had demonstrated could not be diminished by others' opinions or doubts. The city of Denver itself, through news of the scholarships and grants, began associating my name with empowerment, vision, and quiet yet transformative influence. It was validation of a different kind, not loud, but enduring and meaningful. At night, I often sit in my study, overlooking the soft glow of Denver's skyline. I reflect on the years of hard work, quiet sacrifices, and careful planning. The fortune is secure, the foundation thriving, and my children are flourishing. Marcus in Seattle and Sophia in Boston, confident and aware of the principles I hoped they would embrace. I feel a profound sense of peace. Every late night spent reviewing documents, every careful decision made in secrecy, every moment of silent determination has led to this: security, legacy, and love preserved. My journey has taught me that life is unpredictable, and sometimes the most powerful actions are those taken quietly, without acknowledgement or applause. I realize now that protecting your loved ones sometimes means making difficult, unseen choices. It means believing in your own strength, even when the world doubts you. And above all, it means leaving a legacy that combines love, wisdom, and foresight in ways that endure beyond your lifetime. The lesson I want to share is simple yet profound. True strength is often silent. Decisions made quietly, with foresight, patience, and love, can protect the people who matter most and create a legacy that lasts far longer than wealth alone. My children learned that day that security, love, and vision are not always expressed in loud words or public declarations. They can be actions taken with clarity and intention behind the scenes. As I watch Marcus and Sophia engage in the Foundation's work, helping young students and entrepreneurs, I am reminded that every sacrifice, every careful decision, and every act of quiet courage has been worth it. I feel content knowing that I acted decisively to safeguard their future, proving that age, appearances, or the doubts of others do not define capability. Life is unpredictable, but foresight, love, and quiet strength can guide us through uncertainty. If my story inspires you or gives you hope, please like, comment, and subscribe to see more real life stories of courage, resilience, and love.